meeting of the two classic champions was eagerly awaited. The battleground was to be the $100,000 Californian Stakes, and the Hollywood Park paddock was crowded with celebrities. A film was being discussed with Gary Cooper to play Rex Ellsworth, and General Omar Bradley was the ranking member of the many Swaps admirers present that day. Swaps would run with jockey Dave Erb substituting for regular rider Bill Shoemaker, suspended for a minor riding infraction, and would be meeting older horses in early summer, usually considered a disadvantage to 3-year-olds. None of it mattered. Dave Erb was an able substitute for Shoemaker, and Swaps collared the pace-setting Mr. Gus when he was ready and did what he had to do to hold off the late charge of Determined. Swaps stopped the electric timer in a new world's record of 1:40 2/5 for the mile and a 16th, and seemed to have plenty of unexpected energy left as he returned to an ovation. If ever one thoroughbred provided national attention for a racetrack, it was Swaps for Hollywood Park. And just after his retirement from racing, a statue honoring the beautiful chestnut was dedicated at the Inglewood track. He had earned the tribute. Speakers at the ceremony recalled Swaps' Horse of the Year campaign in 1956. In the Inglewood Handicap that year, he carried 130 pounds and gave 15 to Mr. Gus and 9 pounds to Bobby Brocato. Mr. Gus would beat Nashua in the Woodward that year, and Bobby Brocato had just won the Santa Anita Handicap when Swaps was injured and could not compete. Swaps' very way of going seemed lighter, requiring less effort than other thoroughbreds. Though not really extended, he ran the mile and a 16th Inglewood in world's record time of 1 minute 39 seconds flat. In the Gold Cup at 1 1/4 miles, Swaps at 130 gave Mr. Gus 13 pounds and Porterhouse 20, as Langolan Stables' pair attempted a double-team effort. Many horses we call great have failed to carry 130 pounds to victory. The great Citation never won with that much weight, and Nashua, arch-rival of Swaps at 3, was always defeated with as much as 130 pounds up. Swaps carried 130 pounds 6 times and won. When he was healthy, nothing seemed to matter. He was as supple and handy and graceful as a greyhound. And when, after holding him in tight restraint, Bill Shoemaker finally let him run, Swaps' acceleration past good horses was exhilarating. When retired, Swaps held the largest collection of world speed records in history, 5, from 1 mile to the 1 5/8 miles of the Sunset Handicap. It was his last start at Hollywood Park, and it was a romp. Although there were 9 horses in the Sunset field, only win betting was allowed, a dubious practice never again allowed by the California Racing Commission. Of course, Swaps had reduced the competition to near unknowns, and Shoemaker let him float along on the lead from wire to wire. The memory of that incredible season of 1956 still uplifts those he touched. It was but a few weeks after this peak of brilliance that he fractured his left hind leg in a mishap in New Jersey and barely survived. After weeks in a sling and a long recuperation, Swaps lived to sire champions, but none as good as he. So the statue stands for courage and class, as well as superior performance. He made his farewell to racing at Santa Anita, where he was never defeated. With Tenney on the pony and Shoemaker up, Swaps proudly paraded on a gloomy day befitting the occasion. Probably one of the soundest, toughest colts in history, Round Table had a complete symmetry and absolute lack of blemish. He raced in the colors of Travis Kerr, running at 10 different tracks at age 3 alone. He had been purchased at 3 from A.B. Hancock of Claiborne Farm in Kentucky, where Round Table was foaled, being by Prince Quillo from Knight's Daughter. After a very successful year at 3, Round Table carried top weight of 130 pounds in the next year's Santa Anita Handicap.
By 3 lengths and Porterhouse into the stretch. It's Round Table by a head. Terang is second, driving hard. And Janine is third. Porterhouse is fourth. It's Round Table driving hard. And Terang. It's Round Table and Terang. Round Table in front by 3/4 of a length and coming away. They come down the one to finish. Round Table winning it. Going away by 2 lengths. Terang is second, 3 lengths. Porterhouse is third.
Moving across town to Hollywood Park, Round Table, number 3, with his regular rider, Bill Shoemaker up, was assigned 132 pounds in the Argonaut Handicap. So incensed was owner Kerr at this heavy impose so early in the season that, although Round Table was allowed to run this day, he never again competed at Hollywood Park. He was meeting tough, seasoned horses over a track which favored speed, and this race indicates how weight can affect even a great thoroughbred.
They're off and running. At the start, it's Shawneen breaking.
Going past the stands the first time, it is apparent that Shoemaker is content to play the waiting game. He notes that How Now, Shawneen, and Terang all are showing early speed and setting a fast pace. He lets them go and settles for 5th. If Shoe forces Round Table at this point, he will lose precious ground going wide around the turn.
Round Table is 5th by a length and 5th.
Showing extreme confidence in his mount, Shoemaker holds Round Table in 5th position going down the backstretch. He's saving him at every pole, knowing that with 132 pounds up, he cannot ask for more than one big run from his horse. Heading into the far turn, Shoemaker sees that the time is now to go after the leaders. He takes Round Table to the outside of Like Magic. Then, still saving ground, he moves past Terang on the inside.
By a length and a half. Terang is next and Round Table.
He must now decide whether to go inside of the 2 leaders or play it safe and go around them for the drive. How Now shows he still has plenty of run and won't give up that rail. So Shoemaker heads Round Table to the outside and starts his final drive for home.
And now it's Round Table and How Now. They're coming down to the wire. Round Table, but How Now holding on gamely. It's going to be close, and we will call it Round Table winning it by a nose.
He won, but just barely. Round Table was the best grass horse of his time, and maybe of all time. Horse of the Year in 1958, he was grass champion 3 years in a row. Some of his races were simply amazing. In the 1958 Lawrence Armour at Arlington Park in Chicago, Round Table was boxed and blocked almost all the way behind Asia, Clem, and Hoop Band. Into the stretch, Bill Hartack found room and set sail after Clem. Round Table carried 130 pounds this day to 110 assigned to Clem. It looked impossible, but Hartack laid his silken nose on the finish line at the last possible moment.
And they're off. Era going to the lead, followed by Round Table, Wiggle, Terang, Jack Ketch, anxious moment.
In the 1959 Arlington Handicap, Round Table, number 1, was the defending champion, having won in 1958 with 130 pounds. This year, he carried 132 and faced 1957 winner Manassas, who carried but 112. Bill Shoemaker rode.
Here they come. That's Round Table leading by a length and a half. Manassas is second on the rail. Redden closing ground third in anxious moment. That's Round Table along the rail. Manassas on the outside. Redden. They come to the wire. Round Table wins by a neck. Manassas the second.
Round Table won 14 of 16 starts on grass in an era of few grass courses and large competitive fields. He carried 130 pounds or more on 25 occasions and established or equaled 16 world, American, or track records. He retired as leading money earner and kept that title until surpassed by the great gelding Kelso. A.B. Hancock was acutely aware of Round Table's classic pedigree when he sold him for $175,000. That sale at Hialeah early in 1957 carried an agreement that the colt would return to Claiborne Farm to stand at stud when his racing days were over. Round Table lived a long, productive life in the bluegrass, siring more than 80 stakes winners, surrounded by friends and admirers. Northern Dancer, the most successful racehorse and stallion bred in Canada, could have been a greater bargain than Round Table, for he was priced at $25,000 as a yearling of 1962, but there were no buyers. By spring 1964, Northern Dancer, trained by Horatio Luro and still owned by his breeder, E.P. Taylor, was preparing for the Kentucky Derby. Favored for this Derby was Hill Rise, a tall, long-striding Californian. On the first Saturday in May, Northern Dancer pranced out sporting saddlecloth 7, while the favorite carried number 11. It was to be a thrilling Derby, a 7-11 Derby.
And they're off. Breaking from the gate, Mr. Brick on the inside, Will Red on the outside, Royal Shuck on the extreme outside.
The run for the Roses started well and held no surprises through the early running. Mr. Brick, Royal Shuck, the Scoundrel, and Will Rad made the pace first time past the stands, with Hill Rise under Bill Shoemaker going easily in 6th place, just ahead of Northern Dancer and Bill Hardtack.
Royal Shuck on the outside, Mr. Brick on the inside.
As they went into the first turn, Hardtack, who rode a brilliant race, moved Northern Dancer into 6th place, and from this point to the wire would see to it that Hill Rise would never head his mount.
With Hill Rise. Further back, it's Mr. Moonlight, Roman Brother, Extra Swell. Then it's Ishkuda and Dandy K.
Northern Dancer is not yet 3 years old on this day and stands just above 15 hands, but has a stride that looks 2 sizes too big and a quickness not equaled by Hill Rise.
Now Will Red is moving up. The Scoundrel moves on the outside to 4th. On the inside, Quadrangle is 5th. Northern Dancer is now 6th. Hill Rise is 7th on the outside. Mr. Moonlight on the inside.
Nearing the far turn, Hardtack sends Northern Dancer after the leaders. Hill Rise, checked momentarily by racing traffic, takes off after the Flying Canadian.
Northern Dancer has now moved to 3rd and also moving to challenge. Further back, Quadrangle, Hill Rise moving on the outside.
Into the long stretch, it's Northern Dancer taking command, with Hill Rise coming on the outside. Northern Dancer on the lead by 2 lengths, and Hill Rise driving courageously under extreme pressure from Shoemaker. The big horse keeps trying, but at the finish, it's the Canadian Bulldog winning it by a neck. Hill Rise 2nd, and the Scoundrel 3rd. The time of 2 minutes established a new Derby record. Two weeks later at Pimlico, the 2 rivals met only 4 others for the second jewel in racing's Triple Crown. Trainer Horatio Luro and jockey Hardtack were brilliant in their handling of Northern Dancer. At the start of the Preakness, the Canadian colt was sent from the gate smartly and raced 3rd to Big Pete and Quadrangle to remain in good striking distance. Hill Rise, meanwhile, raced outside the 3 into the first turn and never seemed to find his best stride. Only a few people close to Northern Dancer knew that the colt had been running on a patched hoof to alleviate a quarter crack suffered in training, and no one knew whether or not this then revolutionary treatment would be successful. At the final turn, Northern Dancer turned back his final challenger and coasted home. Quadrangle, who finished 4th this day, would come back to win the Belmont Stakes and prevent a Triple Crown sweep. But the best horse ever bred in Canada had no match here in Maryland. Northern Dancer's owner, Edward Plunkett Taylor, is the world's all-time leading breeder of thoroughbreds, having sent out more than 200 stakes winners. Northern Dancer was foaled at Taylor's Winfields Farm near Toronto, being sired by the magnificent Nearctic. His dam was the native dancer mare Natalma, and Northern Dancer would retire to one of the most phenomenal stud careers of any thoroughbred ever, standing at a fee of $225,000, no guarantee. His last race was the 105th renewal of the oldest race on the American continent, the Queen's Plate. The Lieutenant Governor of Canada would later present to the plate winner the traditional gift offered each year by the ruling English monarch, 50 gold guineas. Canadian racing fans turned out to cheer a national champion. They were not disappointed, for Northern Dancer easily sped away from a retreating band of opponents to win Canada's most cherished classic by 7.5 lengths. A wrapped tendon in New York forced his early retirement, but Northern Dancer met and defeated the best of his generation. No horse dominated American thoroughbred racing over such an extended period as did Kelso. Mrs. Richard C. DuPont's marvelous gelding was voted Horse of the Year for 5 consecutive seasons from 1960 through 1964. By your host from the Count Fleet mare, Maid of Flight, Kelso possessed a hard, deer-like quality, slim, racy, efficient. He was proof that what cannot be seen is more important than appearance. Except for an attractive head, his conformation did not appeal to experts. But as master breeder Federico Tessio remarked, a good horse walks with his legs, gallops with his lungs, resists with his heart, but wins only with his spirit and character. And Kelso defeated 5 generations of thoroughbred. His one vulnerability appeared early in his racing career and kept him out of the Triple Crown events. That flaw, a faulty stifle, disappeared early enough to allow him to win the Jockey Club Gold Cup at 3. At 4, Kelso joined Whiskbroom and Tom Fool as only the 3rd horse in history to win the venerable New York Triple, the Metropolitan, Suburban, under 135 pounds, and the Brooklyn Handicap, under 136. Here, Kelso rolled to his 3rd Woodward in succession.
Crimson Satan coming on 3rd. Carry back to 4th, and Garwal is 5th. Coming through the stretch, that's Kelso in the middle of the track with Never Bend for the lead. Crimson Satan 3rd. Carry back 4th, and Garwal is 5th. 20 yards to go. It's Kelso drawing away by 4 lengths. Never Bend 2nd. As they go on.
By 1964, Kelso was pitted against yet another generation for King of New York, and the Woodward that year provided one of the great turf dramas of his career. His principal foes were Gunbow and Quadrangle. Gunbow, a natural speed horse, was sent straight away from the gate into the lead by his jockey, Walter Blum. It would be up to Milo Valenzuela on Kelso to force the pace early and keep up the pressure, else the race would be a runaway for the speed horse.
Dropping back to last. Coming into the stretch now, that's Gunbow and Kelso whipping and driving on the outside with Quadrangle along the rail. Coming through the stretch, it's Kelso getting his head in front. Gunbow alongside 2nd. On the rail, it's Quadrangle 3rd. Kelso on the outside, but Gunbow hasn't given up yet. 20 yards to go now. It's Kelso and Gunbow head and nose to nose. As they go over the finish line, it's a photograph of the whole finish.
The question was, who won? The riders didn't know, neither did the trainers. Minutes passed while the placing judges inspected the magnified image of 2 nodding heads separated by an infinitesimal margin. Gunbow had defeated the game-old veteran this time, but Kelso merely picked himself up and came charging on. First, he won the Jockey Club Gold Cup for the 5th consecutive time while Gunbow sat on the sidelines. Then, in Maryland, he faced his young rival in the Laurel International. Kelso had run 2nd at Laurel on 3 previous occasions, leading some to doubt his grass ability in world-class competition. In the fading light of November 11th, 1964, Kelso met his newest rival for the final time, with Horse of the Year honors on the line. Gunbow again had an easy early lead, and Kelso must depend on his own courage to overtake his youthful opponent. For a moment, it seemed a rerun of their torrid Woodward duel. But appropriately, the gold of the Maryland afternoon was matched by a flawless performance as Kelso set a new American record for the 1.5 mile distance, running the final quarter of a mile faster than the first quarter had been clocked. He was trained all his career by Carl Hanford, and when Kelso was retired, he led the money won list with more than $1,900,000. But more importantly, he had won the love and affection of millions of people. In the 1960s, the most exciting horse in California was an almost black gelding native diver. His temperament suggested spontaneous combustion. He tolerated a rider, a groom, but just barely. On work days, he owned the racetrack, and even his morning workouts were flashy, never leisurely gallops, but flat-out, ears pinned, devil-may-care dashes. He was the consummate speed horse. The public loved this son of Imbros, and he was aware of and responded to their attention. In 1967, at Santa Anita, he went postward under high weight in the 7-furlong San Carlos Handicap, premier speed event of the winter season. It was a typical native diver performance.
There they go. Embassy is going to the front. Sledge is second. Dr. Coy is third. Pretense is fourth. Quite a Dude is fifth. Native Diver, time tested, and Hoist Bar. It's Native Diver in front. The length on 1/2. Hoist Bar is second ahead. The time tested is third. The neck. On the extreme outside, Pretense is fourth ahead. Sledge is fifth by 1 length. Embassy is sixth on the rail. It's Fleet Host around the turn. Native Diver in front by 2 lengths on the inside. Hoist Bar is second 1/2 length. Pretense is third 1 length. Time tested is fourth by a head. On the inside, Taipan is fifth by 2.5 lengths. Sledge and Embassy turning for home. It's a Native Diver in front, 2.5 lengths. Hoist Bar is second by 1 length. Taipan is third by a 1/2 length. Pretense is fourth and time tested. It's Native Diver in front by 3 lengths. Hoist Bar is second. Pretense is third. Is Native Diver in front. They come down the line to finish. Is Native Diver repeating the great victory 2 in a row of Autocrat winning it by 4 lengths. Hoist Bar is second 2 lengths and Pretense third.
His real home, his course, was Hollywood Park, and a monument honors him there. Under the expert handling of trainer Michael Millerick, Native Diver won 3 consecutive runnings of the Hollywood Gold Cup, carrying his speed over the 1.25 mile route the only way he knew, wire to wire. He was 6 when he first won the race in 1965, repeated in 1966, and was poised to meet Pretense in 1967. No horse had won this event even twice until the Diver. Pretense was high-weighted and favored, but an incident at the start changed the complexion and tactics of the race. That was Milo Valenzuela falling from O'Hara, who stumbled just out of the gate. Watch it again.
There they go. O'Hara lost the rider. Native Diver is going to the front. Pretense is second. Biggs third on the inside. And Quicken Tree coming by the stands the first time. It's Native Diver in front by 2.5 lengths. Pretense is second by 2 lengths. Biggs third, and Quicken Tree trails. O'Hara, the loose horse. The riderless horse is moving up to third. Going around the first turn, it's Native Diver out in front by 5 lengths. Pretense is second by 2.5 lengths. Biggs third by 8 lengths, and Quicken Tree trails. The first quarter was run in 23 seconds flat. Turning into the backstretch, it's Native Diver out in front of Pretense by 8 lengths.
Biggs is third, and Quick and Tree into the backstretch. It's Native Diver in front by 8 lengths. Pretense is second by 5 lengths. Biggs third by 5 lengths, and Quick and Tree trails. Nearing the half-mile pole, it's still the black horse, Native Diver, out in front by 4 lengths. Pretense is second by 8 lengths. Biggs third, and Quick and Tree. Into the far turn, it's Native Diver in front by 2.5 lengths. Pretense is second on the inside of the riderless horse by 6 lengths. Biggs is third, and Quick and Tree still trails. Turning for home, it's Native Diver in front by 2 lengths. Pretense is second by 8 lengths. Biggs is third, and Quick and Tree. The loose horse is on the outside of Pretense, turning into the stretch. It's Native Diver in front on the inside by 3/4 of a length. Pretense is second by 4 lengths. Biggs third, and Quick and Tree trails. Native Diver in front, Pretense second, Biggs and Quick and Tree. Native Diver in front, Pretense and Biggs. Native Diver drawing out again. Native Diver, Pretense, and Biggs. And Native Diver is the winner by 4 lengths. Pretense second, Biggs was third.
Native Diver was the first California bred to earn over $1 million in purses and won stakes races at ages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. He was flashy, exciting, contrary, and strong-willed, and loved by millions who admired pure speed. Buck Passer, a bay horse by Tom Fool from the mare Bosenda, was the best horse ever bred by Jockey Club chairman Ogden Phipps. Ridden by Braulio Baeza and trained by Bill Winfrey at 2, he turned out for the 1965 Sapling Stakes at Monmouth Park. Buck Passer drew the rail post position and was virtually left at the start.
In the 1965 edition of the Sapling at Monmouth, 2 quick colts sprang to the lead. Quinta, closely followed by the favorite Armichael. Buck Passer, last by several lengths, is not even in the picture at this point. But suddenly, in a flash of black and cherry silks, Buck Passer not only sweeps into the picture, he abruptly moves up to third. He is not yet a menace to the 2 leaders, and it seems possible that the quick move may have taken a lot out of him. At the head of the lane, Buck Passer and jockey Braulio Baeza, swinging wide, seem hopelessly beaten. But the swift early pace has taken a heavy toll, and Armichael begins to stop, with Quinta also shortening stride, while Buck Passer is moving like a fresh horse. In one of the best juvenile efforts of the year, Buck Passer goes on to beat good colts going away and win the Sapling by half a length.
At the end of the season, Buck Passer, having won